You've done Rec 1 and 2 with Jaume Balagueró. Rec 3, you've done it by yourself, and there's more of an 80s vibe to this one and more of a comic feel as well. So what influenced you in that?
Well, I think, I'm not sure. I think Rec 3 is part of a tradition of Spanish cinema, which comes from Luis Berlanga or Luis Buñuel. This mix of horror and comedy, which is something that is very, very, very Spanish. We have, I think it's something is specific of Spain is the ability of doing humor from the most horrific situations.
And in this movie as well, the zombies seem a little bit faster moving, a bit more athletic. How did you make that decision?
Well, it's because after 2 films they got really fit, and they were really unstoppable. You know, they had been trained for years, so they are like Usain Bolt or something. They are really, really fast. Now it's because in each film we have tried to make different ways of approaching the zombies. Of what we wanted to do in this is that when you turn into a zombie, you preserve the quality, the skills you have while you are a human. And we have these waiters, very young, athletic, young boys and girls, and they love to jump. We didn't want them just to run, but to jump and even to fly.
Another change you've made in this one, you have found footage in it, but you also go a bit more traditional, don't you? What was the thinking behind that?
Well, I think it's a mix of things. On one hand, is that what we wanted to do with Rec 3 was delivering something really different and really surprising for the audience. And part of it was to tell the story in a different way of filmmaking, going back to traditional. But especially because the story we wanted to tell, I think the ideal way to tell it was going back to a traditional cinematic style. But it wasn't that we were trying to make a statement like POV is over or something like that, because it's not. But it was part was that, and I hadn't used a tripod for 5 years, and I'm getting older, and I really needed it.
Now there's a comic book out as well in Spain, isn't there? Tell me about that, and will there be an English language version?
The comic book? Yeah. I hope so. We are really, really happy with the comic book because it fills all the holes in the Rec films. We use the comic book to tell the stories we were not able to fit into the films. It was a terrific experience, and I think we're going to do a new version of with new stories, a new comic book, and I hope it gets translated into English.
And what can we expect from Rec Apocalypse, which will be Jaume's film by himself? Yeah. And also, give me your insight about why you think there's such a great tradition at the moment in Spain with horror movies.
Yeah, well, for sure, I positively know that Rec 4 is going to be amazing because Jaume is a great director. And I'm not saying that because he's my friend, he's really brilliant, and it's going to be a great film. And it's true that recently there has been very good samples of horror films in Spain, and I think it comes from when there was a TV show in Spain called Historias para no dormir, when my generation, when we were kids, and we watched all the Universal, Hammer, the Vincent Price films. We were kids watching horror movies every week, and I think that's something in our brains, that a little seed that is beginning to blossom.
And what's next for you, Paco?
Well, I'm working in a new graphic novel, in a new comic book, because it was such a great experience working in the comic book of Rec that I'm now finishing a new one. So, it's called Damned Friday, and it's a vampire story.